Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 144. Today we're talking about how to manage your dog during the holidays. We are coming up on the 2025 holiday season, currently early November, but by the time this podcast is released, we'll be encroaching upon Thanksgiving. And then you know what's right after Thanksgiving? Christmas. Then you know what's right after Christmas, right?
Debatable. It's not right
New
after.
Year's.
There's a good month.
And what's right after New Year's? 4th of July. All right.
Valentine's Day. That's what I was going to say.
Valentine's Day. Yeah. That's not a holiday.
Chad doesn't care.
That's not a holiday.
Chad doesn't care. He's not a romantic.
So anyway, managing your dog for the holidays, you do want to keep your dog calm, safe, and happy during the holidays. You want to have as little stress for you and your family as possible. But you may have dreaded the holidays in the past, or you may be dreading the upcoming holidays because you're worried about your dog's behavior. You're worried about the stress of the hazards, the potential escape attempts, the overwhelming situations. You might be feeling these things, and just understand you're not alone in your feelings. There's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. And a lot of people feel like they just have to survive the chaos of their holidays and hope that their dog behaves during the holidays. But what if you could actually set up training systems that make the holidays smooth for you and your dog and your family? Today we're going to talk about managing your dog. We're going to cover pre-holiday preparation, managing holiday hazards, handling guests and visitors, because we know they can be crazy, maintaining routines, holiday travels, and setting realistic expectations. So with that being said, pre-holiday preparation is up first. And so some big things you want to think about in your pre-holiday preparation. Think about what your holidays look like. Everybody's holidays are a little bit different. Danny, what do you guys normally do for the holidays?
Normally just hang out with the family.
Hang out.
You know what I mean? Just hang out at the
Little
house.
football?
If it's Sunday.
Little Thanksgiving Day parade action?
Oh, hell yeah. But, just hanging out. I got my dog, She's trained. Sometimes she likes to eat some Christmas trees.
Oh, really?
But we handle that,
really?
Previously
is what you're saying.
Previously, maybe, yeah. But, we always hang out. We make some food. My mother bakes some baked goods.
Oh, really?
Some cookies. Oh, hell yeah,
really?
dude. Oh, hell yeah. But,
might be nice to get a couple
we
of
hang
those.
out. It's
Might be
nice.
nice
It's
to
a
get
nice
a couple.
calm. It's nice and calm. You know why? Because my dog's trained.
Nice.
Mhm.
You guys opening up gifts
go
and
to
all
work.
that?
Yeah, of course.
Christmas
We
morning?
don't go as crazy as we used to, but,
All right.
we hang out.
Macy get some gifts?
Macy gets some gifts, dude.
All
She
right.
gets some bones. She gets some beef liver.
All right.
You
So
know.
before the holidays are coming, you want to think about what you're doing for the holidays. So, if you've done training already, which hopefully you have, you do want to do some refresher training. So you want to practice your place command. You want to practice calmness in the house. You want to practice your come command, your recall, right? That way if the door is open, because like Danny, he's got an uncle that likes to come over, right? You got an uncle that likes to come over?
Why are you making this shit up?
So your uncle comes in, opens the door, he's all excited and everything, leaves the door wide open. Let's say Danny's dog wants to run out the door.
Hell
Right?
nah.
You got to have a come command for that.
Better believe it.
You also got to have good entry-exit protocols.
Well, let me just say something. You should be practicing these things year-round,
That's
not
true.
just the holidays.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? That's how you really know for sure you're good to go to
That's
handle
true.
these holiday scenarios.
Yeah,
dude.
because,
You know what I mean? If you're trying to cram all your training in on, November 1st, you got to freaking put in some time and effort, dude.
Exactly.
Practice this shit all the time.
Exactly, because, like, if you're like Danny, his uncle comes over all the time. So the door's getting opened and closed all the time,
Yeah. Running out
But
to
if you've slacked off during the
garage.
year, now's the time to get refocused, right?
Yeah.
Refocused.
Yeah.
You want to make sure your dog's calm for visitors coming over. You want to practice not just grabbing food, right? A lot of dogs, they see that chicken nugget laying on the counter.
Is that what you guys are eating on the holidays?
They got
Chicken
the
nuggets?
sniffer-
too?
Oh, I love chicken nuggets, dude. You get the Chick-fil-A chicken nugget tray, or the Zaxby's chicken tender tray.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Dan?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah, you know the chicken
I'm not a
nuggets.
big Zaxby's guy. I don't know if you're eating that shit. That's just
Really?
not good for you,
It's
dude.
good for you, dude.
You kidding me?
It's
not good for you.
Protein.
Dude.
Protein.
No, dude.
So you want to make sure that if there is food around, your dog is resisting the temptation to just grab the food, and that you have clear communication set up so that you can communicate to your dog what to do, what not to do, right? You also want to make sure your dog has some safe retreat spaces if they need that. So that could be, a place command, right off into the corner of the room. It could be a crate somewhere in the house that your dog knows they can go to and rest at if they need. It could be, a room set up if you have like depending on your setup of your house, but your master bedroom, right, could be a quiet place for your dog because nobody else is going in there, right? So having some kind of safe retreat place for your dog set up and practiced before the holidays start, especially if you're hosting an event where you're going to be having a lot of people coming over.
No, that can be hard too. How are you supposed to? You got to simulate being in a crowded room of people. You know what I mean? Maybe you go out in public and find that somewhere, but it's hard to be like, hey, everyone come over for a day so I can, prep my dog for this. Like, that's unrealistic sometimes. But, you have to simulate that in some aspects. You can even just do it with distractions around the house. You know what I mean? Maybe you just, play some loud music. You kind of introduce that stuff, get your dog ready for that, teach your dog how to deal with that little bit of stress, if that is stressful for your dog. Know what I mean?
And even if you don't have an ability to simulate it, practice the behaviors themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Practice your dog moving to their crate, right? Practice your dog moving to their place. Practice your dog moving to their safe room if you have one set up for your dog. And you habituate that, then your dog will be able to go there even when the people start coming over, right? Other pre-holiday preparation recommendations: have an exercise protocol in place. So you don't want your dog to be full of energy, all amped up when people are coming over. So things that I've done before, I like doing some exercise before the event starts. So if you're hosting an event, do a walk or an exercise session right before the event, right? Also maintain your other exercise routines. Like if you normally do a morning walk, continue doing that, right? The day of the holiday, right? The day of the event. Get your mental stimulation in through training drills, right? On your walk, in the house, whatever you're doing that day. And a lot of people, maybe they feel like they're so busy preparing for the holiday or preparing for people coming over, they may be tempted to skip the exercise routine for that day, and that's definitely not what you want to do. You want to maintain your exercise routine for the day, right? So keep that in mind. But I'm a big fan of, I keep my exercise routine the same, and then right before the event starts, I do an additional exercise session that could be both mental and physical exercise to get the dog's energy levels at a lower level right before the event starts, right? Something else to think about, which we kind of covered already with the creating space in your house, could be preparing your dog for holiday stimuli by gradually exposing them to that, right? So for example, if you're looking to expose your dog to holiday decorations, go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, right, before the holidays coming. That way your dog's exposed to Christmas trees. That way your dog's exposed to big inflatable turkeys. Right?
Slowly introduce the chaos.
Right, exactly. So just slowly get them used to different things that are going to be around. Set up your house like you're setting it up for the hosting event, maybe a day or so before the actual event if you're going to change up the interior of the house. You can practice doorbell drills where you got the doorbell getting rang. You can have one of the members of your family go outside, wait a few minutes, come up to the door, ring the doorbell, right? So you're just getting your dog used to all of the additional things that might be happening around the holiday. Any other thoughts on that, Danny?
I mean, one thing to add, it's going to be different depending on what kind of dog you have. You know what I mean? If you have a more nervous, insecure dog, you might want to introduce these things slowly to keep it a positive experience. Or if you have a more confident, happy-go-lucky dog, you might be able to kind of go more balls to the walls with it because they can handle it better. Just something to think about. Just obviously you don't want to overstress your dog because then you turn all these things into a stressful experience, right? You want to keep it positive for them, right? If you can. Now, some dogs might just hate it. You know what I mean? You have to either teach them to tolerate it or just accept that it's a lot. You might have to put them away, but just definitely, it's not going to be the same across the board.
For sure. Now, there are some potential hazards that you do want to be careful of during the holidays. First of all, it could be dangerous foods that your dog could get into. So again, you need to have good communication. Like let's say, for example, you have some food out on the counter, right? Because you have people over and they're going to the counter to get the cookies or whatever, and then they go hang out in the rest of the house. Maybe people are leaving plates that are half eaten laying around the house. Your dog's nose is going to take them over to that. They're going to be tempted, right? So first of all, you want to have a very clear rule to your dog that you don't just grab food off of plates, and you would want to maintain that throughout the year And if you haven't been doing that, then you really want to fine tune that now as the holidays approach, right? The other thing is you want to have good communication with your dog. So if there is a half-eaten plate and you notice your dog is going over to it, being able to call your dog to you and then leave that half-eaten plate of food and coming to you, or being able to tell your dog no, right? So your dog knows not to do that. Good communication is going to help you, right? Because there's tons of food that can cause problems for dogs that won't cause problems for people. And then there's also like other things they could eat, like, you know, Christmas ornaments or Christmas trees, right? Or what's that, like, shiny stuff, tinsel people put on their tree?
Yeah.
You put tinsel on your tree, Danny?
No. Hell no.
Some people are big into tinsel. You know, they throw it all around.
Hell no. That shit's messy, dude.
Yeah, then the dogs are like chasing it down. You know, they're getting crazy. Then they swallow something, it gets tangled up in their stomach. Now you got to freaking do stomach surgery.
Yeah.
You don't want that situation to happen, you know?
I try to keep my dog away from the Christmas tree because her tail knocks ornaments off, dude. Smashes ornaments on the ground. That sucks. Mom's mad.
Smashes the ornament that your mom's had since she was a child, you know?
Not good.
So you do want to think about these kind of hazards that could potentially be around. Also, if you're like wrapping gifts, like let's say you have kids, or maybe you're going to another event, you have gifts that you're wrapping, and so maybe you have them staged in the house with the wrapping paper, with the ribbons, right? This kind of stuff. Your dog could potentially get into these things if you haven't trained them to leave things alone, and if you haven't trained them to be able to communicate with them to tell them to stop doing something, right? So all things to be thinking about. These types of hazards that are normally not around, now they're present. How are you going to have your dog, you know, work around these things? And then, you know, you shouldn't be letting your dog get into any trash cans throughout the year, but let's say the holidays are a little more tempting because you have guests
more turkey,
over.
There's ham, there's ribs.
People are throwing half-eaten plates into the trash can. The trash can gets overloaded. Now the lid's up. Now there's stuff falling out of the trash can. Now your dog is attracted. Yeah, the nose is going crazy.
Yeah. Now, hey, if you have a small dog, you might not have to worry about it.
Until the trash can overflows.
Yeah, true.
Or you have a small dog like a French bulldog, for example.
Shoot. He's knocking that thing over, dude.
Boom, he tackles it like a football player, knocks it over, trash everywhere, dog's going crazy, everyone's freaking out, right?
Dude. Holy.
So you don't want to be in that situation. So, you know, this is all like pre-holiday prep, but also during the holidays, you have to pay attention. You have to be aware, right? So these are things you should be doing throughout the year. So it doesn't matter when you listen to this podcast episode. If you listen to this episode in February of 2027, we're talking about in the future.
2027.
Right before AI takes over the world and we're all slaves to robots, right before that. If you're listening to this episode in 2027, February, you start applying it well before the holidays actually start.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to it in 2025, in November, the holidays are here. So you got to be a little bit quicker.
Down.
Right? You got to be a little bit quicker cracking down. Right? Well, let's talk about handling guests and visitors. Danny, go through some tips and tricks for handling guests and visitors.
Well, we kind of already talked about, but preparing your dog for company, like using your exercise routine to your advantage. You know what I mean? If you have a ton of people coming at one time, maybe instead of having your dog greeting people at the door or having them or struggling to, because like obviously you have family coming over, you want to greet your family. You don't want to have to manage your dog at that same time. Maybe it's just more beneficial to put your dog in the crate. That way your dog isn't getting jacked up when people come through the door.
Right.
That could definitely be beneficial. But also kind of like we said, using your place command. If your dog knows a downstay command, that could be beneficial if it's solid. Now, like I know plenty of dogs are not holding a downstay with crowds of people or even 4 or 5 people coming through your door.
Right.
But those are all things that you could use: place command, downstay command. Using the crate, using the leash too, if need be. If you have a jumpy dog, maybe you have a leash on them to guide them off and things like that. And maybe you just communicate to who's ever coming in too to ignore the dog. Like, hey, we're in training. We're trying to teach you to be calm around the holidays, right? Most people will understand that. You might have some family members. You might have a crazy aunt that's like, oh my God, happy to see your dog, right? So that can be hard, but it's definitely going to be beneficial if those people do respect what you're asking of them for sure. Another useful tool that we use, e-collars, for sure. I know I use one on my dog. If she's getting too jacked up around people, I'll do just that. I'll communicate to them like, hey, just ignore. I might correct her for jumping or correct her for getting too excited and redirect her to something more positive, whether that's a downstairs place command, something like that. So those are going to be probably your main things to do in the moment, you know what I mean, when people are coming over, for sure.
Yeah, good to go. Making sure you're another thing, make sure that your guests understand how to interact with your dog, right?
Yeah.
So like people coming in, what do people normally want to do?
Get all excited.
Right, exactly. They come run over to the dog, start petting the dog, want to give the dog cookies, treats, whatever. So tell the people before they come in your rules of the house, right? Give them boundaries for your dog, right?
For sure.
So I usually will have my dog in place, and then whenever people come in, I always tell them, like, hey, just leave him alone, right? I'll tell you when you can go over to him, or I'll let him up here in a little bit, and then you can say hey to him and
I mean,
give him a treat or whatever.
The main thing for sure is not reinforcing the jacked up mindset, you know what I mean? Because if you're trying to do one thing and your family's working against you, it's just going to be a conflict in your dog's brain. You know, it's not going to know what's expected of them. So that's definitely going to be important.
Exactly.
Controlling the environment.
And then making sure your dog's comfortable, like you said earlier, depending on your dog. If your dog's nervous, if your dog's insecure, if your dog is fearful, right? Don't make them feel like they're forced to have an interaction.
Right.
Let them just hang out on their place. Let them hang out in their
sure.
crate, depending on what's going on. If you have a dog that maybe you're working through some hyperactivity with, you might just have that dog in the crate while people are over to not let them practice being hyperactive, right? So
that's also going to help with people, not because because people are going to have a hard time, greeting your dog. You will have people that just don't, like, you tell them and they might adhere and listen at first, and they see the dog and they can't control themselves.
They lose it. Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? That's fine. But if you have family members that that's going to happen, definitely put the dog in the crate. That's going to be most beneficial for sure.
For sure. You need to know your dog's body language. We have a really good body language video on YouTube you can check out, but you want to be able to know, is your dog feeling stressed? Is your dog comfortable, right? So common signs of stress could be your dog excessively panting when they didn't just do exercise, potential drooling from your dog. That could be stress. That could be they see all the food and they're just like, conditioned to food, right?
Wide eyes could be stress, could be the food.
Exactly.
That we got with this one dog, Goose. He's got the wide eyes when he sees those potatoes, dude.
Goose loves potatoes, bro. If a dog's yawning, that could potentially be anxiety, right? If your dog has a tucked tail or a low body posture, that could also be nervousness. If your dog is avoiding people that are maybe trying to interact with it, that's obviously nervousness, right? If your dog is like barking excessively or whining, that could be anxiety, right? If your dog is pacing, not able to settle down, another sign of anxiety. So if you see these kind of behaviors and you see that your dog is potentially stressed or overwhelmed, put them on place. Put them in their crate. Put them in your safe room, right? Somewhere, a calm area for your dog to calm down. And then especially if you're having kids come through the house or kids already in the house, you definitely want to supervise all dog and kid interactions, unless you know for sure that your dog's good to go with all kids, right? But if you don't know, you want to supervise that. Plus, you want to make sure the kids are not being overbearing on your dog.
For sure.
Like the cousins might be coming over and they might not understand how to interact with a dog like your kids do.
For sure.
Right? You also want to teach kids proper approaching and petting of a dog. So this could be a potential opportunity to teach the cousins how to approach the dog, how to interact with a dog. But just because you teach a kid something once doesn't mean they're going to retain it or do it, right? So you will still want to make sure you supervise those interactions with kids that you're not sure. And I wouldn't leave any kids alone with dogs, right? I would make sure it's a supervised thing.
Another thing about the context for the dog is completely different, right? If you have a dog that's been fine with kids before, it might be a little bit more stressed out with all these people in the house, right?
Exactly.
So you can't just assume like, oh, they've interacted with dog before, they'll be fine with these 5 kids,
right?
Climbing all over it, right? It's like
right.
Likely not. It's like it's a much different context to the dog. It's a much more stressful situation. So definitely supervise for sure.
We talked a little bit earlier about routines with your dog, but we just want to reiterate, you want to maintain your routines as much as possible with your dog during the holidays. Now, the holidays are going to be very busy.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a lot of things going on, especially if you're a host. And I know there's different types of people for the holidays. There's hosts that, they wake up early, they're preparing the food, they're preparing the house, they're getting everything set up, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, whatever. And then there's people that, they might be hosting, but they're not doing all of those things. They're more relaxed. They're more doing their normal thing,
Mm-hmm.
adding in some of the hosting stuff, right? So depending on how you like to run things, up until that holiday day, let's say you're the host, up until that holiday day, you want to keep all your routines the same. If you need to modify a little bit on the day of the holiday, that's okay, but you still want to get in your exercise, and I would still get in the extra exercise that we talked about right before the event. With that being said, if you're a person that's going to someone else's house and you're bringing your dog, maybe you're traveling, going to visit some family, or maybe you're just going across town to your family's house and you're bringing your dog, you still want to keep your routines the same as much as possible too, right? So up until the holiday, keep your routines the same. The holiday day itself, get in your morning exercise. Get in some exercise before your holiday event. And then after your holiday event, maybe you get in another bout of exercise, right? Like a walk.
Mm-hmm.
After you eat all that food, you need to move a little bit to help that food digest. So take your dog on a walk, right? But routines matter during the holidays because we know that dogs are creatures of habit. They love routine. They love ritual. So if you disrupt your routine too much, and I'm not saying you can't disrupt your routine, I'm just saying you got to be careful. If you disrupt it too much, you could create some anxieties, right? Or short-term anxieties. You could create some kind of problem, some kind of behavioral, like if you've messed up your routine, your dog's used to doing X, Y, Z, and you just stop doing that for X amount of days during the holiday. Now your dog could be, relapsing a little bit in behavior because you're getting out of your routine.
Yeah.
Right? So
Also, like if you, for sure, but if you know your routine's going to be disrupted, maybe you change other aspects of what you're doing. Like maybe we get more exercise if the exercise or if the routine is going to be messed up. Maybe our walk's a little bit longer to help decrease the anxiety.
Right.
That could help,
And if you know your routine is going to change, you
Yeah.
can start changing it a couple weeks in advance to
True.
mimic the routine that you're going to be
For
on
sure.
during the holidays.
For sure. Yeah.
And slowly modify to that routine. Do your holiday routine, then after the holidays, slowly modify back to your normal routine. So these are all ways that you can kind of work the routine deal.
Preparation.
Exactly.
For sure.
Make sure you're feeding, obviously. Feeding the same. I recommend feeding at the same time, even during the holidays. Make sure you're giving potty breaks like you normally do. Exercising daily. Trying to keep the sleep schedule about the same as much as possible for yourself. Then your dog will be on their sleep schedule. You don't want to skip sleep during the holidays. It's not good. Not going to help you.
Not good. Not going to help you eat more food.
Exactly. Be careful about the table scraps. You take your dog over to your family's house and grandpa wants to give your dog all the frickin' biscuits and gravy that your dog can handle, right? Then your dog gets overweight and your dog starts having liquid poop. You don't want that, right?
Yeah.
All that biscuits and gravy, dude, is going to mess up that freaking poop. So be careful with that. Make sure you have clear rules with your family and then pay attention to your family. Because grandpa, he might
have to slap grandpa's hand.
Right, he might say, okay, sounds good.
And then under the table.
Exactly, the biscuits are going under the table, right?
Yeah. Keep your dog on place, away from the table, dude. Holy.
Exactly. Now, let's say you're traveling with your dog. Let's say you're going to be traveling, not in your local area, but you're going to be driving a couple hours or flying or whatever you're doing during the holiday season. First of all, we already talked about routines. So if you know your routine is going to change when you're traveling, start mimicking some of that before you travel. Prepare for it, right? Make sure your car is set up properly or your vehicle is set up properly if you're driving, right? Make sure your dog knows vehicle protocols. A dog that's pacing around in the vehicle or barking, nonstop out the window, that's not going to be pleasant for a long car ride, right? So make sure we like doing downstays in the vehicle. Make sure your dog knows how to downstay. Make sure your dog has a calm behavior in the vehicle. If you're leaving your dog in your vehicle, let's say you're traveling and you stop and you got to get some breakfast or something, right? You go into a restaurant, but you can't take your dog with you. You got to be careful about leaving your dog in your vehicle. You don't want them to get overheated, depending on where you're at, right? If we're talking about Thanksgiving, Christmas, a lot of areas will have cooler temperatures. But if you're going to Florida, it's going to be hot, right? So you got to make sure that you have a AC on for your dog, depending on what you're doing at the time, right? Make sure you're giving your dog potty breaks. You're going to need potty breaks too. So don't be the person that just pulls over at a rest area, jumps out, goes potty, jumps back in, starts driving again. Give your dog a potty break too,
For
right?
sure.
And if your dog has motion sickness, downstays can help with that, but you need to figure out a plan to minimize the motion sickness. Maybe you need to drive like a lot nicer than you normally drive.
Yeah.
You know, Danny, he's a
Don't
little bit
even,
rough
dude.
on the drive.
This
He's
is
a little
not
rough on the
true.
driving.
This is not true.
Let's just say Danny,
I drive
JC,
fine.
Chris,
If your dog's
a
in my
little bit
car,
rough
I'm
on
going to
the
drive
driving,
fine.
right?
Not true, dude. Not true. Chad drives like a crazy man.
I'm a very.
He drives a Dodge Ram. and he
I
doesn't
drive
know.
like a grandpa.
No,
I'll
he
just say
doesn't,
that. I
dude.
drive like a
He
grandpa.
drives like a NASCAR driver in a Dodge Ram Cummins.
Let's say
Ridiculous.
you're traveling, but you don't want to take your dog with you,
Mm-hmm.
right? This could be a potential boarding situation. You're going to have your dog board somewhere. Maybe you have a pet sitter set up, right? You might have that. Or maybe you need to get training done for your dog. It's a great time to get a board and train program done with your
Hell
dog, because
yeah.
your dog is boarding and training to meet your goals while you're going on your holiday. You could have friends or family coming over, right? So whatever your setup is, let's say you're boarding, obviously you're probably familiar with the boarding facility that you would use, right? So make sure that they know your dog, they understand your dog. Don't just leave it at a boarding facility you don't know for the first time when you're going on a 2-week Christmas vacation, right? Make sure you're familiar. If you're having a pet sitter or a family member come to your house, I would definitely do some trial runs before the holiday starts. So I always recommend, usually you can ask people, especially if it's your family, come over for an hour at a time, maybe go for a walk with you, hang out with you, especially for a dog that might be potentially nervous of somebody coming over or coming into the house. Get them implemented in some basic routines before they actually need to watch your dog, right? So all things to think about. So that covers most of the things about holiday travel with dogs, most of the common topics. Anything else to add there, Danny?
One thing I was thinking with the vehicle, like if you have a dog that you know for sure is like anxious in the car or has or even like a more hyperactive dog, you know what I mean? Like maybe you plan out either exercise before the car, like maybe you do a lot of exercise before the car, similar to like what we said in the beginning, a lot of exercise before people coming over. If whatever you know is going to be stressful for your dog, try to get them some exercise, right? Because anxiety is just energy, right? It's got to go somewhere. If you can give it a positive, healthy outlet before the stressful situation, it's definitely going to be beneficial. But maybe you have a super hyperactive dog. Maybe if it's a 4-hour, 5-hour drive, maybe you find like a little park to stop at. Maybe take your dog on a quick 20-minute walk at the park. You hang out, maybe eat some lunch, do what you do, and then press on, right? So just things to think about. Definitely, you're going to have to adapt to your dog. You know what I mean? It's not all going to be, you might have a lazy dog, chill dog that you can just take anywhere and it's fine. You might have a dog that needs the extra work if you're going to want to do these holiday travels with your dogs, you know, just something to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I've done a bunch of travel with a bunch of different dogs, my dogs and dogs I've trained for people that I had to drive 4 hours to take them back home. And I do just that. I do my exercise before I start the drive. I'm a planner, right? So I'm looking ahead at my travel route, you know, several days in advance, and I'm picking out places to stop at. It could be a rest area, could be somewhere for lunch, right? Could be a gas station for a bathroom break, but I'm going to choose a gas station that I can walk my dog around a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that ahead of time, right? And then I like to stop between every hour, 1 to 2 hours. Go to the bathroom myself, take the dog out, walk the dog around, do some training, some obedience training real quick. But, 5-10 minute walk and then back on the road.
Absolutely,
right?
for sure.
And then whenever I get where I'm going, I always plan to be there earlier than I need to be there so that I can get a little walk in before whatever I'm doing, right? So if I'm going to an Airbnb, for example, and the check-in time is 4 p.m., I might get there 3:30, 3 p.m., right? Do a walk through the area, right? Or a park or something and kind of get my dog's energy out.
Absolutely.
Because I know I'm cranky after driving for a while. I can only assume the dog is the same way.
Absolutely.
And that brings up another good point. If you're traveling and you're staying somewhere you're not familiar with, let's say it's a family member's house or a hotel or an Airbnb, whatever it is, I always look ahead and I map out the area, right? So let's just say it's an Airbnb and it's in a neighborhood. I map out that neighborhood. I look at potential walking routes on Google Maps, and I usually pick out a route that's 20 to 30 minutes long.
Good mile.
It could be a down and back. It could be a loop, depending on what the situation is, what's around there. And then when I first get there, I'll walk that route. And if the route looks different than what it did on Google Maps, I might pick an alternate route.
Yeah.
Usually I have a couple alternates.
Couple plan Bs,
couple alternate plans,
Holy,
right?
This guy.
Because I have gone places and then the walking route was not what it seemed on Google Maps. And so I'm like, okay, let me go to the next option.
For sure.
Until I find the option that I like.
I mean, most of this just it revolves around teaching your dog to be calm. You know what I mean? Like, I know with my personal dog, I need to be teaching her to be calm year round. You know what I mean? If I only focus on this for a couple months before holidays, it's not going to be where I would be at if I practice this year round. You know what I mean? Like, you are going to have those dogs that need to be taught how to be calm, day in and day out. You know what I mean? Those are your more anxious dogs, your more high energy dogs. I know my dog is both of those things. She does have a lot of anxious tendencies, and she's very high energy, you know what I mean? Right. So holiday time can be stressful for her, you know what I mean? But I've done my training. I do it year round. I know what she will struggle with. I know how to troubleshoot it. So, and that just sets me more up for success, you know what I mean, than only trying to cram it in, you know what I mean? Definitely focus on the stuff year round. Exactly.
All right. Setting realistic expectations. All right. Again, you have to know your dog, right? So not every dog is going to enjoy the crazy holiday situations that happen. So some dogs really enjoy, being around the family or being out in town, being at the local bar, the local restaurant, whatever you like to do to celebrate, right? Some dogs love that. It's super easy for them. You add some training on top of that, makes it even better. Some dogs are okay with it, but they don't really enjoy it, right? They like being with you, but they don't like being out in the hustle and bustle. Other dogs don't like it, right? That's your nervous, insecure, fearful dogs in general. So like Danny just said, you want to make sure you're preparing, you're doing all of this stuff that has your dog's best interest in mind all year long. So understand your dog. If your dog isn't going to enjoy the holiday event that you're going to, maybe not take them there, right? Or if you're going to a family's house, maybe bring your crate where your dog is comfortable and put your dog in the crate. So you got to think about that and understand your specific dog. And you can set up boundaries too. If your family's like partying from, 5 p.m. to midnight and you want to get home around, your normal evening walk time, you tell the family that, right? Set some boundaries for yourself so you can take care of your dog, right? Think about your dog being calm, like Danny already said. So if you got people coming over, you're going somewhere, your dog being calm, your dog maintaining their good behavior. These are the things you're looking for. Being able to communicate with your dog, right? I know my dog gets excited when the family's around, but being able to tell him to come to me when I need to, very important, right? If I see Grandpa sneaking him biscuits and gravy under the table, I'm calling him to me, right? And then telling him to go place. That way he doesn't have blowouts later, right? So all this kind of stuff. And we know that the holidays can be stressful for you too, right? Especially if you're hosting or you're traveling or you're going places. So think about easy ways to incorporate your dog and maintain your training throughout the process. But let's say, you're also traveling, or maybe the holidays are just crazy and you would rather have your dog board. That's okay too, right? Have your dog go boarding, have your dog go board and train while you're taking care of your holidays. And if you haven't done training before, it's the perfect time to get your training done.
For sure.
While your family's, doing the holiday thing, let the dog be in training, right? And get their training done. So just be aware of that. Like Danny's said multiple times throughout this discussion, don't do this just a week or so before the holidays. This is a year-round strategy, year-round game plan, right? But the holidays do have some specific things that come up that you want to either refresh with your dog or know to maintain with your dog, or maybe some strategies to work on the holidays themselves. My basic routine, if people are coming to my house, my dog's on a place when they first walk in. And if my dog's calm, I might let him up to walk around, interact with people. I will tell everyone the boundaries of the dog. You know, if they don't respect that, I'll put the dog back into place, right? Or into their crate if I need to, if people won't stop trying to go to his place to mess with him, right?
Yeah, controlling the environment is definitely something that a lot of people will struggle with. You know what I mean? Because some people might not, because it's like their family. Some other people might feel like they're being mean, or they're being unfair to the people.
Right.
It's like be fair to your dog first. You know what I mean? Because your dog is going to respond to these things a lot differently than people are.
Right.
For
exactly.
sure.
For sure. So things to think about, right? But if you're able to think about this ahead of time and practice it, that's going to be the best thing in mind. And the exercise, right? Your mental physical stimulation before your big holiday event, that's going to be your big factor in helping your dog be calmer before the big holiday event, right? So let us know what you guys think. Send us some feedback, drop a comment below about how you handle the holidays. We'd love to hear everyone's different experiences, because there's a lot of great ways to incorporate your dogs in the holidays and enjoy your dog without it being chaotic, right? So with that being said, let's say you guys decide, I want my dog boarding, right, during the holidays. Well, you know what? You can hit us up, right? Canine Revolution Dog Training. You can get your training done while the holidays are going on. We have a couple spots left for Christmas. We don't have any more spots for Thanksgiving. But, we can get that training done for you while you're enjoying the holidays. And after the holidays, train your family on how to maintain your dog's training at home.
And the next holiday. The next
Exactly.
holiday,
Then
you're
the
going
next
to have
holiday,
your dog.
you're ready.
And then we'll help you out. We'll support you through the holidays next year.
Exactly. Exactly. So go to the link below if you want to reach out, caninerevolutiondogtraining.com, and we'll be happy to get in touch with you. With that being said, we have our first book coming out, right? The first Canine Revolution book. If you're watching it, it's right here. We got the first edition copy. We got some final edits to make, but it is the ultimate leash training manual. It's going to be available on Amazon relatively soon. But if you can train your dog to be leash trained, that's going to help you with everything else. You know why? Because in order to leash train your dog, you have to get the foundation of engagement down. And you have to teach your dog communication, right? So leash training is going to improve all of your dog's behaviors. So keep an eye out for the book coming out on Amazon. It's a paperback, a hardcover, an ebook, and there will be an audio version available sometime after the physical book launch.
Are you going to do the audio recording? You're going to record it? Oh, hell yeah.
No one read the book? Are you kidding me? Or read the book on audio?
Well, I wasn't sure if you'd hire somebody or if you
Hell no. I got to do it myself.
Hell yeah, dude.
So we got that coming out. Also on Amazon, Canine Revolution apparel, right? So if you want a Canine Revolution shirt, if you want a Good to Go shirt, Good to Go hoodie, if you want a mug, a water cup, whatever you want, you go to Canine Revolution apparel on Amazon or the link below. We also have the I Love Dogs coloring book on Amazon. The link is below as well. That's perfect Christmas gift for your cousins.
Keep the kids busy.
Exactly. Family, adults want to do adult things. Give the kids the coloring books to go crazy.
Hell yeah.
Right? If you want to feed your dog the optimal diet, that's going to be a raw diet, you can go to the link below to We Feed Raw. We have a 50% off your first box code. The code is Canine Revolution 50. Canine Revolution spelt out with 50 at the end, all caps, no spaces. That gets you 50% off your first box. And if you don't like it, you can just cancel the box meal plan, right? But if you like it, you can keep it going. And even if you're not able to feed your dog 100% raw, you can feed them a portion of raw, right? You can do mainly kibble, then you could do a raw topper to still provide optimal nutrition to your dog. Lots of options on how to do that. But definitely check out We Feed Raw to get into some raw feeding. We've also got Canine Super Supplements, where you can go to the link below. The discount code is Canine Revolution as well. Gets you 15% off. But Canine Super Supplements has the weight gainer for your dog, the multivitamin for your dog, the joint support for your dog, the puppy supplement for your dog. And if you're getting puppies for the holidays, get them on that puppy. Get them on that puppy supplement, right? Make sure they're squared away, good to go. If you need to get your dog some Christmas presents, Danny, you like getting your dog Christmas presents?
I'll get her a bone or something.
All right. Monster Canine Toys on Amazon. Monster Canine Toys. The toughest dog toys, period. And they have a guarantee. if your dog destroys it, they will replace it.
Nice.
So you got 0 losses there, right? 0 losses. So check them out at the link below if you're looking for some cool things to get your dog for Christmas. Also, I know your dog would love to get a Canine Super Supplement multivitamin. Put it in that wrapping paper. You've seen those videos of the dogs ripping their presents open, right? They'll be going crazy over that. If you need some presents for your humans in your family, Jocko Fuel. Jocko Fuel, perfect time to get some presents, right? Creatine.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
If I get creatine in my stocking, I'll be fucking amped. I'll chug some creatine, go to the gym, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
So Jocko Fuel could be a good gift for those members of your family that maybe need to, get some supplements going. Milk protein, creatine, energy drinks, fish oil.
Energy drinks for when you're dealing with the family or decorating. You know what I mean? Maybe need a little booster. I get it.
Yeah, the family event keeps going. No one's stopping. You might need that energy drink hitter.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Chug you a Nitro Pop real quick.
Yeah.
Right? Nitro Pop energy drink. You'll be able to keep up with the family.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
Your crazy uncle's leaving the doors open.
Or maybe you're like me and you're like, okay, there's a lot of people coming over. This is kind of messing up my routine. I'm not big into big crowds or anything, so I take that Nitro Pop hitter, chug that. Now I can handle it.
Now you're
know
good
what I'm
to
saying?
go.
Throw a little creatine in there too. Now my brain's firing on all cylinders. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, appreciate you guys listening. You can check out all those links in the description below. Don't forget, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can leave a word, holiday. You could put holiday in the review. 5-star holiday, right? So please leave a review. We appreciate that. Keep an eye out for the book coming out. If you have questions, comments, concerns, or future topics we need to cover, just let us know. And until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast.